spelled H-I-R-O, but also because I believe that I'm someone who has the power to make a difference and impact people in a positive way. But I didn't always think this way. And in fact, it actually wasn't until very recently that I started to consider myself to be a superhero. And to explain why, let me tell you a bit about myself when I was younger. When I was a little kid, still in my early days of elementary school, I was always the smallest kid in the class. Even the second shortest kid was about half a head taller than me, and all I ever wanted to be was bigger. But I learned that no matter how much milk you drink or how much you stand up on your tippy toes, there is no way that you can reach up to the height of your friends who are about this much taller than you are. Still, I wanted to be bigger. I wanted to be someone who people looked up to, even if they had to angle their heads down while doing so. And I thought, what better way is there to do this than by acting bigger? And by that, I mean acting like an adult. See, when I was a little kid, the adults were my superheroes. And sure, they didn't wear tight spandex suits or have big flashy names lit up above their heads, but they were just as heroic as the superheroes I saw on TV or in comic books because they were brave, they were admirable, they were kind, courageous, all kinds of traits that you would use to associate with superheroes. I also thought that the adults were very intelligent because they had answers to all kinds of questions I had for them. One of the questions that I asked my parents was one that I believe many parents seem kind of uncomfortable answering. Where do babies come from? Yeah, my parents seemed pretty hesitant answering that one as well, because they gave me a really vague answer telling me that they probably found my brother and I somewhere at the beach in turtle eggs. Yeah, true story actually. And now that I've had a few sex talks in class, I think I doubt my parents' turtle egg theory. But of course, when I was a little kid, I did not doubt them for 1 second. I actually believed that I started my life off as a turtle. Obviously, I should have doubted them. Moving forward a few years, I became the big kid. Still short nonetheless, but I was starting to become someone who the younger grades looked up to, simply because I was older than them. But it was around this time where I started to reach the ages of what would be considered youth, that I started to actually stop idolizing my parents and the other adults in my life as superheroes. And rather than idolizing them, I actually started resenting them. Because suddenly, I started to feel the distinctions people made between myself and the adults in my life. And I also started to notice that any opinions or answers that I had were always put behind those of the adults, especially if mine were different. And maybe I would have been able to tolerate this a little bit more if it wasn't for the fact that the adults were expecting me to hurry up and grow up to be like them, while at the same time treating me like a baby. And this odd balance of treatment and expectations I was given isn't something I believe was only relevant to myself, as I was surrounded by other angsty preteens who also seemed bitter toward the adults to some degree. Now I am almost finished high school. In less than a year, I will graduate and move on into the big world. I will have all kinds of responsibilities and be able to do all kinds of things exclusive to the adults. And this scares me. It scares me because ever since I've been a little kid asking all kinds of questions, I have seen the adults as a superhuman who I should want to become. And even as a big kid, when I was acting a little angsty and resentful towards them, I still so badly wanted to become them because I was constantly looking up at them from below. And now that I'm almost there, only 1 year from becoming legally considered an adult here in Canada, I don't know if I can meet up to the expectations of the glamorized adult I have grown up to believe. See, this mindset of adults being so different from children and youth, I believe, is damaging to every single person, regardless of their age. It's damaging to children because it tells them that their parents and the other adults in their life are always correct for anything, and makes it hard for them to speak up to their parents when they need to. It also tells children that the word childish is an insult and that we should all hurry up to grow up into the adults and leave childhood behind. It tells youth like myself that we must study and work hard, not so that we could become better and educated individuals now, but so that we could later become this super adult that we've dreamt of becoming for so long. And it also tells us that if we fail at studying and working hard, our futures will reflect on it. And of course, I believe that this is the cause for much of the anxiety that many youth today feel in terms of getting bad grades or disappointing our parents. And of course, like I said before, this is damaging to every person regardless of their age. So of course this includes the adults. And I believe that this mindset is damaging to the adults because it puts them up on a pedestal where it's difficult for them to fail. Or rather than difficult for them to fail, it's difficult for them to admit to failure. And as we all know, admitting to failure isn't always such a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing to admit to failure because it helps us learn for the future from what not to do. So, as I've said, this mindset of adults and children being so different is very damaging and has a lot of bad things to it. And this mindset will probably continue to exist until we stop teaching people like we teach ourselves to glamorize adults, just as we have been taught. So, how do we change this? I believe that it's simple. We teach people and ourselves that we can all be superheroes regardless of our age. So this means that you can be a child, you can be an adult, you can be an elderly person, you can be a young person. Age should not limit you to your knowledge and the things you can do. So let's stop leaving it to another generation to make all the change and have all the facts. Let's start listening to people regardless of their age and listen to people of all age groups. Because every generation, I believe, is filled with people who have the potential to become superheroes, not just the superheroes who raised us. Parents and adults have been elevated on a podium. And I believe that now is the time that my generation and the generations that follow will also create a podium that will be equal to the ones of our role models. So now, for the time being, my job here as a superhero is done. Thank you.